Hello, and welcome to another edition of Comics and Pop. I'm one of your hosts, Jonathan Rosen, along with Troy Cannon and Carlos Idarraga. And today we are going to be talking about Marvel's new movie, just came out, Shang Chi. And I'm going to say this is the first movie that I actually went to the theater in almost 2 years to go see. So I wanted to see it up on the big screen. I'm going to give my brief thoughts on it, and then I'm going to take it to you guys.
Do that.
Yeah.
The way this thing started out, did it kind of sound like somebody's planning on going solo or something on this podcast thing? Like, oh, wait a second. Let me introduce these other guys, by the way.
Yeah. Well, I said I've been looking for replacements just in case, but
okay.
The demographics. I want to. So I wanted to love this movie. I liked it a lot. I will say I liked it a lot. I wanted to love it, but I didn't quite get to love. So before I go into anything else, I want to hear what you guys thought. So this week, let's go and start with Troy here.
All right. It was a good movie. Lots of action. There was a lot of that fighting. The bus scene was incredible. But I think I liked this movie better when it was called Black Panther because it seemed to me the same thing. You know, a guy gets involved with some stuff because of a family member. Then he ends up having to fight with a family member over some space, universal, it's from another world metal that gives the user certain abilities that he wouldn't have if he didn't have the thing. There were mythical animals. There was a dragon in one. There were giant rhinos in the other one. There were two opposing armies that fought each other. Everybody knows Kung Fu in both movies. For some reason, I'm watching it and I'm digging the movie. And then all of a sudden I'm like, wait a minute. I've seen this. And it dawned on me that somebody had taken the formula for Black Panther and just sprinkled it.
You got a winning formula. Just go with it.
It's a winning formula. It was great. I loved the movie. It was I liked the movie. It was just that I had seen it before. It's a swashbuckler movie. And whether it's the pirate Roberts or whether it's Johnny Depp, Captain Jack Sparrow, it's a dude with a sword fighting people. Both movies were different, but they both were the same. That's this. Shang Chi was different from Black Panther, but it was kind of the same because they even both had the zany female sidekick, his little sister in one, and his quasi girlfriend in the other one. I don't know what they were doing, but
yeah, we can talk about that in a minute. It's the same thing. They're like boyfriend, girlfriend. They're not boyfriend, girlfriend. And at the end, I kept expecting okay, maybe now we get the big kiss, that they're all together. But nothing. Just anyway, Carlos, what are your initial thoughts before we go dive deep?
So I have a lot this whole movie was an experience for me because to start it off, this is the first movie. This is the first time I've ever been to the movies by myself. I've never in my entire life been to a movie theater by myself. So it was really, really weird. And it was funny because when I got there, to buy the ticket, there was a guy, an older guy behind me, and so I bought my ticket, and then the guy goes up, he goes, "Yeah, let me get a ticket for Shang Chi." I was like, "Oh, this guy is definitely a Marvel fan." But I love the movie. I really, really like the movie because I went into the movie with the expectation that I wasn't gonna like it. Because for me, the whole 10 rings thing, in the comics is 10 rings. The Mandarin wears 10 rings in his fingers. So the way they changed it around going into the movie, I didn't think that I was gonna like it, but I did like it, and we'll go into that a little bit more later. But the whole Black Panther thing that you're saying, I kind of see, I understand a little bit, but Aquafina was really good as Shuri and stuff, but I really liked her more in this movie. I've never. The other movie that I remember Aquafina from is that Crazy Rich Asians movie, whatever. I don't know if you guys ever saw that Crazy Rich
There's
Asians.
Jumanji also, the second one.
Yeah.
Was she in there?
Yeah, the second one.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't remember that. But anyway, I'm not. Yeah, I mean, I'm not. I think she's okay. I'm not a big fan, but I kind of liked her in this movie. I thought she played a good sidekick in the movie. But like I said, for me, originally going into the movie, I went in. You know what? I'm not gonna like this, but I was pleasantly surprised by the movie. Usually when Marvel takes creative licensing, as a comic book person, I get offended because I want it to be like the comic book, but I kind of really enjoyed this origin story because the Shang Chi origin story he's not really a well-known character. So they they can take more creative licensing with this because it's not like it's Spider-Man and and you went in and had Spider-Man bitten by a dog instead of a spider or whatever, right? I mean, everybody knows
a bison.
Exactly, or a bison, exactly.
Yeah.
But the fact that they took creative licensing with this, it didn't bother me that much because it's not a really well-known character. So I really enjoyed the movie, man. Those are my initial thoughts.
Well, here's the thing. Maybe I should have done what you did because I went in there. I mean, like I said, I haven't been to a movie theater in close to 2 years. My son wanted to see it, so let's go quick. And I'm going in there expecting to love this. I saw the trailer and this looks amazing to me, and I wanted to love it. I really did want to love it, and I like it, but I wasn't overblown. I mean, like Troy mentioned, that bus scene was incredible. The bus scene is one of the best scenes I've seen in any Marvel movie action wise. I love that skyscraper, the scene also, them fighting on the skyscraper. I was let down a little bit because I expected more Wong and Abomination after seeing the trailer. I expected them all in this movie. I thought, Abomination's going to be like a huge part of this, and he's in there like 30 seconds. So that too. But my main thing was at the end of the movie, I want to see the big bad. The father's been built up. We want to see him defeated. We want to see, it's still the guy's father, but we want to see him get his comeuppance. And it doesn't happen. And he like snap of a finger, all of a sudden he's like, he's evil. And then he's like, oh, I'm sorry. Just that happened so quickly. And even the big dragon thing coming out, it's, he's defeated to me relatively quickly. And it's not the buildup. You want to see that buildup of the villain, from the beginning of the movie, gets eviler and eviler till the end. And then we defeat that evil. We didn't get that. We just get like someone who's introduced in the last 5 minutes as an evil character. He's done, and that's it. So that was my thing. It was like kind of a letdown for me at the end. But I wanted more from it. I did like it. I can't say I didn't like it, but I didn't, go, I love this.
Oh, go ahead.
So just to follow up on Jonathan, when Jonathan's saying about the father thing, so that's where the whole Marvel creative licensing comes in, right? Because in the comics, the father and the Mandarin are two separate characters. Shang-Chi's dad and
just one quickly thing. I did love that the Mandarin from Iron Man was in there. Love that.
See, that I didn't like, and I'll go into that a little later, and I'll tell you why. But I mean, I didn't hate it, but I didn't like it. I'll tell you why. But
sure, he's always going to be contrary, but go ahead.
It's too right. So the creative licensing, they took Shang-Chi's dad and Mandarin and they made him into one character, right? So it was kind of like, they kind of went their own way with it, where in the comics they're two totally separate people. And to me, what would have been really cool with the whole dragon thing, the dragon in the Marvel comic book world is Fing Fang Foom, right? So we thought that if that would have been the dragon that was hiding behind the thing and came out, that would have been awesome. But at the same time, most people are like, who? Fing Fang, who is that? Like, if you're not a comic book person, you don't know who this is, right? So it didn't bother me as much as I thought it was going to bother me, the creative licensing, because I thought the movie was so well done.
See, there's two things. Okay, first, with the Fu Manchu character, I could see why they separated that, and they didn't want that in the movie because that had, that was a little racist back in the day. That was kind of bad. So I'm kind of glad they moved that out of there, and they used the Mandarin. That was kind of okay for me. The Dweller in Darkness was okay because I can see how they're, what is it, the mini angled one that's supposed to be in the movie with Doctor Strange, right? Samagora, I think his name is. It's supposed to be in that movie, and we saw in the What If with Peggy Carter, it kind of stuck its arms out there, and she kind of fought it, so they hinted about it. And then later, it's shown here, and they're kind of hinting about it, maybe because he's the Dweller in Darkness, and that's one of the Chaos Lords. I think there's 8 of them, 7 or 8 of them, and he's one of them. So that kind of made sense. I kind of understood what they were doing, kind of foreshadowing a little bit a villain that may be in the Doctor Strange movie. So I kind of dug that. But at the same time, you're right. I really was expecting Fing Fang Foom. They were like, oh, he's not going to be in the movie. I was like, yes, he is. Of course he is. It's either going to be him or Mephisto. It's got to be him.
Mephisto.
So, and it wasn't, they didn't have Mephisto. So I'm like, it's got to be Fing Fang Foom. But no, it wasn't him.
Right.
I didn't like that. And the father, going to what Jonathan said about the father, villains to me are either a well-made meal or fast food, right? And the father here was fast food. We walked up, we said, give me some food. And they handed us a plate with a microwaved hamburger and some cold French fries. And we were like, all right. But like, say they did a similar thing, with the Black Panther. They had that relative that slowly evolved into somebody that you hated. And in the exact same movie, evolved into somebody that you were compassionate. They tried to do that with the father. They were like, look, he's evil. Look what he's done all these years. Look, there's a gun. Somebody got shot. Something blew up. It sucks. They were like, oh my God, look, he's a bad guy. And then they said, but he's got a sensitive side because he did love his family. And I was like, that was too quick. They didn't build up, I want to sit at the table and I want to watch a very attractive woman, take some pots out, some seasoning and stuff, turn the oven on. Tease me with the meal. They didn't tease me with a meal. They just fast food. They just threw a burger in my face and said, eat this. I don't want that burger.
You work on your analogies all week long leading up to this.
He marinates his analogies. He makes sure that the analogies are marinating and stuff so he can, give us a well-formed meal of of information. So just to touch back on the actor, what's his name? Ben Kingsley, playing the Mandarin actor, right? So, I mean,
Slattery.
I thought he was so funny in this movie.
He was funny. He was funny. The character's funny, but many people. I mean, I usually don't try to talk about. I usually try to keep this on the down low, but I'm an Iron Man guy, right? So
you like Iron Man? I didn't.
So Iron Man 3, that whole Mandarin fiasco to me was a heartbreak. It was like, to me, made it like one of the worst Marvel movies ever. That whole Mandarin. So when he appeared in that, it kind of like,
flashbacks.
Cringed, I was like flashbacks. I was like, no. I was like, oh God, no, please no. You destroyed Iron Man for me, So that kind of like, I mean, it was, he was like a little bit of a comedic break in it, with the thing with the little animal. I get it, it was, but to me, it just brings back Iron Man 3 flashbacks, man. And it was, it was like PTS, man. It was PTS. I was like, oh my God, I was freaking out.
I gotta say that when he appeared on the screen, the 7 people inside my movie theater went like crazy. So
I had 4 people inside my movie theater.
One
of the guys thought the movie was Shang Chi.
When I saw him on screen, I ended up having to tell the guy next to me that I actually wanted a sandwich, because when he showed up, I pointed at the screen and I'm like, how come you're not dead? And he said, what? And I'm thinking, oh my God, I hope he's not thinking I'm talking to him. And I said, oh, I want some bread. And he said, bread? I was like, sandwiches. And then I just ignored him and just was like, and I was hoping there was going to be a build up to, because you saw the king, was it the king and I, whatever, the little short. You saw the short. I figured, okay, well, this guy's going to get it. The Mandarin is like, he's big bad for centuries, and he's, you took my name which it turned out, he said that wasn't even my name. So I'm thinking, how did you know he was talking about you then? Because if some guy was walking around the street, he shaved his head and wore glasses, and he was calling himself Fred, I wouldn't say, oh, that guy's talking about me. I'd be like, oh, he's talking about Fred. He said, I'm the Mandarin. And the guy's like, yeah, I'm not even the Mandarin, so I don't even know who that was. And I'm like, well, why'd you go get him? Why are you messing with that dude? He didn't even say your name, man. But then he got him, and he brought him there, and he was all full of anger. He had his people kill his bodyguard. He said, oh, you killed my butler. He killed his bodyguard and everything. And he's like, the Mandarin wants to see you. He wants his name back. No, he doesn't, because he doesn't call himself the Mandarin.
Right.
He doesn't want to name his name back. And then he brought him, he's going to kill you. And then he got there, and he made him his jester. That made him seem weak to me. You threaten to kill somebody, and then when they show up, you're like, tell I'd rather you tell me a joke.
But at the same time, it's like, he's, been around for 1,000 years, supposedly, right? So this guy's, he's conquered everything. He owns, he's pretty much, the end all be all, so he was bored, he was like, this guy was harmless to him. You know what I mean? He was harmless. So he was like, maybe he felt sorry for him, obviously. And that's why he didn't kill him, so, but like I said, the whole fact that he was in the movie, for me, it was traumatizing. Traumatizing.
Well, I did find him funny in there. I thought it was a good, break, the comic relief aspect of it. Seeing him in there, like the joke, even like the end when he's pretending to be dead. I thought that was good.
Yeah, that was funny. Yeah.
But so let's talk about the end. I did like Awkwafina in this as well. I thought she was good. I did like her in Jumanji also, like we said. At the end of the movie, here's what I did to the post credits. Let's talk about the post credits because it's setting us up for the future. All right. So we have, Wong comes out and we're going to have them all be Avengers. And he said, you come too, to her. Like, I'm thinking, why? What's she going to do? What is she, she's not an Avenger. She's not anything worth, being an Avenger. But she just learned, the bow and arrow. She just learned archery, right, a few minutes ago. And now she's going to be like, what, a replacement for Hawkeye? So I thought it was like a little bit silly that they brought her in there too. But I would like to see him on the Avengers. I thought that part was cool. And I think it sounds like that's what they're setting up, that he's going to be a big part of it.
So, there's a lot of things like coming in the future as far as, with the Marvel Universe, and at the end, when they also showed, the 10 rings, is returning, so who knows what, how they're going to be involved, maybe they'll be involved with the Young Avengers or something when that comes out, whatever. But, the thing that I kind of liked is like, they didn't know what the rings were from.
I wanted to touch upon that too. What do we think?
How is that going to tie in, right? Like, what kind of technology is that? Those rings are obviously, it's something that they've never seen. So anyway, so I, that was kind of cool. So it kind of leaves a little bit of a mystery. It's like, how is that going to tie?
I'm going to be honest here, and I'm totally off base, and I know I'm off base. But when they started saying that the rings is like they said is a beacon, like it's calling to someone.
Right.
There too. My first thought, and it's probably untrue, and it was Galactus. That was the first thing that hinted into my mind that, that signaling out to Galactus. And I know that's not it. And nothing that I've read afterwards says that that's it. But that's where my mind went. And I was like hoping, maybe it's signaling, coming in, come, this planet's good. Come eat.
Mm-hmm. Oh man, that would be cool. If it was a Herald of Galactus, right?
That might be good. And see, I thought when they said it was calling somebody, my very first thought was, well, they're mechanical parts. They're not really weapons. They're parts of the ship that helps it move. But as a human, we don't understand it. If we took a radio, a handheld radio, and gave it to a caveman, he'd tie a string to it and start whacking people with it and say, hey, this is incredible. This is a lot more powerful in my hand. Watch this. Bang, look what I did to that guy. He's dead now. So he would think of that. But one day when it actually called somebody, he'd be like, oh my God, it can do that too? He would have no idea. So the Mandarin's got these rings, but he has no idea how to use them. If you think, we all know, but if you think about the comic books, each one has an individual power. The only thing that he could actually do with them was make those crazy bullwhip things and whack people with them. And that was the totality of his ability. But Shang-Chi got him, and he made his Kamehameha blast, made the big ball of energy and everything. And Pop was like, wow, he can do that? So he had no idea. So even Shang-Chi, having a little bit of apparently being part dragon all of a sudden, he has a little bit more, for some reason now he's smart. He's smarter about the things. And I tell you, I had a father, but I don't know the things that he knows just because we're biologically related. But Shang-Chi was like, oh yeah, Kamehameha wave. And I'm like, how do you know how to do that? Where'd that come from? You just got those rings like 20 minutes ago. But he knew how to do it.
Thing to write. Yes.
So I didn't like that. So I think and I was thinking Galactus, but if they call Galactus, then does that mean that he only goes to places where the rings are? Or was the ring, I thought Galactus though, but I'm thinking, but it can't be Galactus because why would he come here? Who's he calling? So then I was thinking, well, since it's part of their ship, maybe they're calling the Kaluan race and they're coming down, those dragon people. But then I couldn't think of why they would extend that storyline. So I don't know who they're calling.
No, I was definitely intrigued. I was definitely intrigued at the end. I like I said, I would love to see him on the Avengers. It's also setting up for his sister to be, a big bad in the Marvel universe now. She's got this whole, crime syndicate there. She's like got this evil warriors that's doing her bidding there. So that's going to be really interesting seeing her where her place falls now in the Marvel universe.
Right. So, before I guess it looks like we're going to be ending these soon. I'm not 100% sure, but I think we call this thing comics and pop. So there's comics part of it. We figured we break out the first appearance of Shang-Chi. This is the Marvel Special Edition number 15, Master of Kung Fu.
Only 6.5 on that.
Only a 6.5. I know. I was brokenhearted. I hate CGC, but that's another podcast. And then we have so that was number 15. They had number 16, and then number 17 is when it just became the Master of Kung Fu by itself. So this is like Master of Kung Fu number 1. So this is like so hard to find, man. And last but not least, one of the characters I guess we didn't talk about was, which I thought was really cool, was the Death Dealer, right? So a lot of people are saying that maybe the Death Dealer didn't die because there's so many, like it's Death Dealer like in the comics, like it's always dying, but it doesn't die. So, it was such a cool character.
It was a good character in the movie.
The fact that we don't even know who it is, so I think it will be a great character. Razor Fist was cool, but to me, the Death Dealer is probably one of my favorite villains in the Shang-Chi universe.
Razor Fist was fun. There were some fun villains, and that bus scene was amazing.
He was fast food too. They built him up with the commercials. He had him punching and he was hitting him with the sticks. And, through his entire life, the dude was there whacking him with a stick, telling him he wasn't hitting hard enough or, whatever, punch the pole again. He was whacking him through his whole life. And then when we see him, he fights him once. And then a giant lizard sucks the life out of him. And I'm like, that's it? I thought there would be more. They built him up. I'm like, I don't want that hamburger. Give me fast food again. What's up with that? They kept giving fast food and the villains. There's no villain that's going to carry over. His sister, maybe. And I think with his sister, they can introduce a lot of villains because she's got that fight ring. And the guy told him, look, Ronnie Chang. He was like, look, man, this is the bottom level. The other guys are up there. And if they've got Wang and the Abomination fighting in one match, who else was up there?
So that's another thing, too. Another question that I had about the Abomination. Last we seen him, he was a bad guy, right? Yeah. He was a villain, fighting the Hulk, right? Now he's chilling with Wong, their boy, right? So, how did that happen? What happened there to
the All Hail the King with in DC? They've got one with Coulson and the bald guy. I can't remember what his name is. The villain guy, the one that they were the one that the Falcon threw off, or the Falcon caught when the Black Widow threw him off the roof. And he's like, "Oh, we're going to shoot 1,000 people at the same time. It's math. How could we not know?" The bald guy, I think he's Asian. I think he had the glasses. He gets captured. What the heck is that? But one of the villains. It'll probably be on the screen later on when someone does his face will show up on the screen. But that guy and Coulson were sitting together. It's a short, like the All Hail the King. And in that short, they're talking Abomination. And he's like, the government wants the abomination. And Coulson's like, no, you can't have it. We're keeping it. And they're going back and forth. And Coulson wants, the bald guy says, well, we want to put him on the Avengers Initiative. We don't want the Hulk. We want him. And he's like, no, I don't think so. So I'm thinking, since he didn't make the first round, and when when Wong did his thing and he sent the abomination back, he's going back into his cell on the raft. So maybe they're bringing him out, letting him do a few things here and there, tested him or whatever. I don't know what's going on exactly, but he's clearly still a prisoner of the raft. So I'm thinking they're pulling him out. He's doing stuff. They're getting him acclimated to being a free guy and working for the government. And he'll be a part of either the Dark Avengers or the Thunderbolts, whichever way they're going. They're probably going to bring both teams, but whichever way they're going, he's probably going to end up on one of those teams, I think. So he's probably going to be a quasi good guy. Because remember, he's actually, in this version, not the comic book, but in this version, he's actually a soldier who wanted to do right and wanted to stop the Hulk because the Hulk was a threat. So in his mind, he's a good guy.
Right.
So he wanted to kill the Hulk, not because he's an evil lunatic. He's an evil lunatic.
Right.
But in his mind, he's not an evil lunatic. He wanted to kill the Hulk because the Hulk was a threat. So he probably went back to Ross, because Ross controls the raft. He probably went back to Ross and was like, hey, what's my next mission? And he's like, I've got something in the works
for you.
For you.
Well, what you just said with like Razor Fist is, again, going back to the point that I made before, that Razor Fist was like a villain for nothing, it seemed like, in the movie. So again, a movie's only as good as its villain is. And we did not get that big villain, tying from the beginning to end of this movie. So that was my main issue with it. And that's why, to me, I gave it a 7, because I liked it a lot, but I didn't get blown away by it like I was hoping.
So what Troy said before kind of like hit me a little bit, maybe like the whole, with I guess, the whole appropriation thing, I guess maybe the Mandarin, like the way they did the Mandarin and stuff, maybe was kind of a little bit of racist, I guess. Maybe that's why they didn't really have a real Mandarin, I guess. But, well, like I said, I mean, even though all the plot holes that we've talked about, and as a whole, I still really enjoyed the movie. I thought it was a really good origin story. I thought, I liked the way they brought him into the Marvel universe with Wong, and making him a part of everything that's going on. Even though they included what's his name, it's still the Ben Kingsley character. It's still tied into Iron Man 3, so it tied into the the MCU. So I liked how how they tied it in, and I love the after credit scene, both after credit scenes. One, not knowing what the rings are, so it kind of like, okay, making everyone think of, okay, what kind of technology it is, and the second one, setting up that whole, new bad. I guess syndicate, of the 10 rings and stuff carried out through by his sister. So I mean, I really enjoyed it.
So what number you give it out of 10?
Out of 10, I give it like an 8. I would give it like an 8. That's a high. Like, they have the pizza guy. What's his name? The El Presidente. You guys ever see that guy? The barstool guy who goes around judging pizzas all over the country and stuff. I give it like an 8.1, whatever.
Troy, what do you number you give?
Unfortunately, I would give this like a 5. Because
really?
I agree with you. Yeah, a hero is only as good as his villain. If you think of any major hero, you automatically think his villain. Think Captain America, Red Skull, Batman, Joker, Superman, Lex Luthor, Shang-Chi, one of those guys. I'm not sure which one it was. His sister? No, it couldn't have been his sister. For me personally, Awkwafina was the villain of that movie. I do not like Awkwafina. It's like she tells a joke, and then she's talking over here. She tells a joke, and she's like, "Hey, why the chip across the road?" Ta-da! And she looks at you like it's a joke. You get it? And I'm like, no, it's not that funny. I don't know.
It's funny that you say something about Awkwafina.
Producer, hold on, Kelly, can you please cancel Awkwafina's appearance for next week's show?
when you say something about Awkwafina, I was reading this thread online the other day, and there was a lot of people in the African American community that didn't like her because they feel that she misappropriates the I guess the black slang and stuff. You know,
black scent. It's called a black scent.
Exactly. The black scent. Yeah. I read that. So when you say that about it, made me think about that. That was like, yeah, it was like,
you're gonna bring it up.
I'll bring it up. Look, she played an old Jewish guy in Jumanji. It didn't bother me.
She started her career as a Brooklyn rapper. And when you heard her,
her name's Aquafina, for crying out loud.
It's Aquafina, yeah. If you heard her speak in her early career, she's got them on YouTube. You can pull up her. If you hear her speak back in the day when she started out, and you didn't look at the screen,
yeah,
you would think, hey, that's Thelma from Good Times or something like that. You would think it was somebody completely different.
I'm not a fan of her, but I was a fan of her character in this movie. So if that makes sense. I like the character. But I'm not a fan of her. Like I told you before that, I wasn't really a fan of her, about her work and stuff. Kind of like because of the black thing, it kind of like it always seemed a little bit off to me. You know, she was always like, yeah, you know, the way it seemed weird. So that's what kind of like why I didn't like her that much. But in this movie, if you take that out of it, the character itself that she played, I thought was cool.
I like her.
You should have used Lucy Liu. Lucy Liu would have been great to me. I think I'd watch Lucy Liu play the Black Panther. Lucy Liu,
yeah, she's amazing.
Super hot.
Gorgeous. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, we're totally veering from this subject here. Well, anyway, guys, let us know. Let us know how you feel. You know, everyone watching, let us know in the comments what you thought of the movie. Did you like it? Not like it? What number you'd give it? And what do you think those rings were? And please thank, and as always, this has been Comics and Pop. Thank you for watching. On behalf of all of us, remember, please subscribe.
Right. Shang Chi.
Bye-bye.